Great. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Max Hartgraves, and I will be filling in for the Commission Secretary again today. The following is the March 10th, 2022, 697th Arizona Racing Commission meeting, and I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
Present.
Commissioner Olson.
Present.
And Commissioner Gray.
Present.
Thank you. Chair Coolidge, the floor is yours.
I'll call to order the 697th regular Arizona Commission meeting for March 10th, 2022. We'll jump right into it, but before I do, I want to just let everyone know that we will be operating under a 75-minute time crunch today from some previously booked matters. So in that, we will be moving quickly through to ensure we get everything done, but I also ask that we keep the back and forth to a minimum. Looks like we do have some people requesting to speak. I will be attaching a 2-minute overview for those as well. We'll move to B1, the appeal of the director's order. Does the Arizona Attorney General need to, or Assistant Attorney General need to discuss this, or should we push to another day?
I would move to go into executive session on this item.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gray and a second by Chair Coolidge. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
And Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. We'll move into executive session.
Anyone hear me out there?
Yes.
Thank you.
We can hear you.
we start coming to the inbox. That's really. And it all.
The other day I was looking at these monitors, like the whole monitor itself, like looks the same. And then, the software, what's up?
Unmute.
Mr. Secretary, are we ready to go?
I am not seeing Miss Olson unless oh,
I'm here.
perfect. And I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Present.
Commissioner Olson,
Present.
and Commissioner Garay.
Present.
Thank you. The time is 10:12 and we'll start our second open session.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, we are on action item B2. We'll open it up to any commissioners for any preliminary comments and then dive into it.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to disclose that regarding this matter, I was watching the live race on the RTN network when the race did happen, and also was able to observe the replays that were broadcast, and I just wanted to disclose that matter.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. I believe since we are a commission of three, we can override that. Do we have the legal team on to give us that provision?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This is Monique Cody, your independent advisor, Assistant Attorney General. Yes, under ARS 38508B, for a board where you have all your members present for a true conflict of interest or for a recusal, the legislature has taken this into account, and there's a statute that allows you to continue on once the recusal or the conflict has been stated. The intention of that statute is not to bootstrap a commission that has all of its members present, and you need all three. So I just wanted to state that Commissioner Gorey has stated he would recuse himself, but because of that statute, he is able to participate, so we can continue on with this matter.
Thank you very much. And we'll open it up to the floor. I know Mr. Dyer, actually, I haven't seen you. Are you present, sir?
Yeah, I'm right outside the door here, and Juan was kind enough to give me his phone. So I'm sitting here with the trainer, Miguel Hernandez, the jockey, Enrique Garcia, and then another person who brought a video, some video information, and we also have some pictures.
And Mr. Dyer, your request from the commission would be to actually have the requested hearing with the director. Is that my understanding? Since it didn't happen.
Yep. And we were hoping to show, the video evidence, go over some pictures and things like that. But we thought the meeting was going to be in person. I wasn't aware it was on one of these calls.
No problem. Sorry to leave you hanging out there. Any comments or questions before we get into it from my fellow commissioners?
I would just like to add that in the 10 years that I've been on the commission, this is the first time I've seen an incident like this where there has not been a director's hearing prior to ours that would include the video footage and all evidence from the incident.
Commissioner, I would lean to you after that comment. Do you want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to direct the director to hold an appropriate hearing regarding this item.
I'll second that.
This is your independent advisor, Monique Cody. Could you clarify that you are, so there has been a decision issued that's on appeal right now. So could you add to your motion that you are remanding that decision back to conduct a hearing, and then a new decision will be issued, something
Right.
to that effect?
Yeah, I will add on to that I'm remanding to the director to hold a hearing on this, and then whatever he decides would then be sent back to us if we need to hold a hearing.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Garay and a second by Chair Coolidge. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
and Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. Sorry you had to make the drive over there, Mr. Dyer, but wish you the best on that, and we will see you when you come back. Maybe not in person again, but we'll see this case when it comes back to us. We'll move to action items C1, the request for Turf Paradise off-track betting facility at Padre Murphy's. This is, we're circling back on this. And does the department have an update for us? I know we sent them back on a City of Phoenix permit and others.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is Brian Dunn from the department. The paperwork was all supplied with the exception of the city approval. We are in contact with the city. They are going through the process right now. I believe it is on their agenda for April 6th, but we still have not received anything from the city as to their approval yet.
Thank you, sir. I have a few people signed up to speak. Mr. Brian, I'm not even going to try on your last name, but I see your hand raised anyway, so we'll just jump to you.
Yes, Brian Imbornoni with Jennings Strauss. I represent TP Racing, doing business as Turf Paradise. Arizona Downs has been making arguments based on contract and real estate law. I would like to very briefly respond to those arguments, and we'll try to stay close to the time constraints. The facts are not disputed. The Padre Murphy's business was sold by Padre Murphy's Glendale, LLC, to Dave Gill's company, Finwest, LLC. Padre Murphy's Glendale, LLC, had an OTB contract with Arizona Downs. The new owner, Finwest, signed an OTB contract with Turf Paradise. There was no poaching. There was no interference with contract. The new owner of the business simply selected a new OTB provider, which has submitted an appropriate application. On the contract law arguments, very briefly, Arizona Downs argues that they should keep the location. There are three reasons why that is not a correct argument. First, there is no contract between Arizona Downs and the new owner. Second, the sale transaction was an asset purchase. Finwest simply purchased certain assets of Glendale Murphy's LLC. So Finwest, the new owner, did not step into the shoes of the previous entity. And finally, there has been no novation. There was no agreement by all parties to substitute a new party bound by the previous Arizona Downs contract. So turning to the real estate arguments, again, if there's any questions on any of those points, I can respond, but I'm trying to keep on time. Turning to the real estate arguments, Arizona Downs argues that this is like a sale of real property subject to an existing lease, but that is not what happened here. There has been no sale of the real property. The owner of the property, which is a part of the Bel Air Plaza, is B&L property, and B&L still owns the property. Arizona Downs argues—
15 seconds.
Excuse me?
15 seconds, sir.
Okay. Arizona Downs argues it has a lease, but it's not a lease with the property owner. Arizona Downs compares this to when an apartment building changes hands. It's more akin to when an apartment changes hands. I might rent an apartment and sublease a room to a roommate, but when my lease is up, the roommate doesn't get to stay on. With respect, there's been no agreement between Arizona Downs and the new owner, and respectfully, Arizona Downs has not presented a valid reason for denying the Turf Paradise application. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. I have Dave Author, Tom Author, and Mr. Langhofer signed up to speak. I let that one run long. That was about 3 minutes. So, Mr. Langhofer, I'm going to hand it back to you, and then we'll keep it moving. Mr. Langhofer.
Can you hear me?
Not sure if I was the only one catching feedback on that.
Right, I was as well. I think we haven't heard anything you've said yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Langhofer,
Is this better?
you just lost a minute. Go ahead. No, I'm kidding. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief, and Mr. Author may have something to add. On the real estate issue, our understanding is that the original owner had a lease with the owner of the property. And we, of course, have a sublease with him. And then that lease was assigned, it wasn't terminated, it was assigned to the new owner of Padre Murphy's. And so our sublease goes along with that. You know, if you had terminated the original lease and then a new lease was created, that'd be one thing. But the original lease with our sublease were both just assigned to the new owner. We don't have access to the sale contract between the original owner of Padre Murphy's and the new one. But if what they had, if they transferred ownership of the business, then all the contracts run with that. If they transferred substantially all of the assets to a new owner, then the liabilities and obligations go along with that too. You can't just, you know, take all the assets out of a business, leave a shell behind, and pretend you're starting over. Obviously, people are very inventive. That's been tried many times in history, and it doesn't work. The laws evolved to stop that. We have an agreement with Padre Murphy's. They want to shake up and shuffle the ownership, fine. That doesn't mean the agreement goes away. I want to be clear, though, this is really in the order of, our arguments are in the order of contract and real estate theories. We're not saying that it is illegal for this organization to approve their new arrangement, but it does seem like the best exercise of your discretion. You know, you're overseeing the industry. You can see what's happening here. And we respectfully submit that you should exercise your discretion to deny the new contract.
Thank you, sir. Either of the authors need a minute to further explain Mr. Langhofer's overview.
This is Dave, author. I don't need a, I don't choose to go into the, I wonder if you can see me. I don't choose to go into the real estate issue, but obviously the City of Phoenix issue is dispositive here, where the city has not approved this transfer. And I don't know why it ended up on the agenda again, where every time you submit a application for OTB, the requirement under the regs is that the municipality has to approve it. Last meeting, Commissioner Olson said, do we have approval from the city? And Mr. Duncan said, no, we don't yet. And today he said the same thing. So the package is incomplete. They don't have the approval. They may never get the approval from the City of Phoenix. And for that reason alone, it's a, I don't know why we're even getting to the, you know, to the merits of the discussion, but obviously we agree with Mr. Langhofer that that the new owner can't walk on the lease that was already in place. That's all I have. Tom?
Thank you, sir.
This is Tom, author. Yes, I agree with obviously what my brother said. It just seems to me the prudent step here would be, it's going to be on the April 6th commission, city council meeting. The comment period doesn't expire until 3/18. There are going to be comments. There's no guarantee that the city is going to approve this by any stretch. So I don't really understand what the big hurry is. Why don't we just say, okay, see what the council says on April 6th. And if they deny it, we're good. If they approve it, then we need to probably get into these arguments between Mr. Imbernoni and Mr. Langhofer. The proper way to have done this would have been for the bar owner to say, I want Arizona Downs out. I'm going to take legal action to terminate that lease or buy them out, and let us settle it and then come to you guys. Instead, now they're asking you to be complicit in this breach of a lease. But again, I think that's something for the next council or commission meeting, because there's going to be plenty of comment to the city by March 18th, and there's no guarantee they're even going to approve this. So why waste any time right now? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll open it up to the floor to my fellow commissioners and then give my thoughts.
This is Jerry Sims. I was signed up to talk on this issue.
Yep, I have if necessary. So, Mr. Sims, why don't you take 1 minute?
Okay, I'd just like to say we're asking for a conditional approval. In 22 years, we've been turned down by a city, and I'd like to give the rest of my time to my attorney, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, the sublease doesn't attach to the real property. Arizona Downs has a contract with the prior tenant who is no longer in possession. With respect to the city, we were previously told that the old permit would suffice, and we were told to submit a new permit, apply for a new permit, which is fine. We can reach Arizona Downs' objection now. I believe that it has no validity as a matter of contract real estate law, that a conditional approval is appropriate rather than having this matter come back to the commission again and again. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like just to make one comment. When I bought Turf Paradise, I bought it as an asset purchase. It's very common. I've bought other businesses where it's an asset purchase. I don't want to step into their tax issues. I don't know what other obligations they have. So it's very, very common to do an asset purchase. And this contract lays out right on the contract that it's an asset purchase. So I don't know why all the hubbub about the real estate or this is their lease and buy them out has no bearing. This owner told you last meeting he wants to do business with us. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I know the last meeting we went back and forth about it wasn't just the the Phoenix documents. It was also the rest of the documents from the department as a whole. Looks like those have all been submitted. I'd be interested to hear my other commissioners' thoughts on it.
Chair Coolidge, I have a similar recollection in that it was more the question of whether it was a new permit needed or whether a permit had been applied for at all. I thought the statements were very helpful, so thank you for those. I do have a few questions for our legal counsel. I'm not sure if anyone else has, if Commissioner Gore has any comments at this point, or if I could make a motion to go to executive session.
Commissioner,
Go ahead and make a motion.
Chair Coolidge, it looks like Commissioner Gray left the meeting, so we may have to wait for him to get back.
I can't hear him.
Hello?
Was that Commissioner Gray? I saw you.
I'm back. I'm on the phone.
Great. Well, I guess I will call the roll before we get going again. Chair Coolidge,
Present.
Commissioner Gray,
Present.
and Commissioner Olson.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. The floor is yours. Chair Coolidge.
Commissioner Olson, why don't you go ahead and make your motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Olson, a second by Chair Coolidge. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. We'll adjourn to executive session. Commissioner Gray, are you in attendance?
Mr. Secretary, Chuck Coolidge is on.
Thank you. And Commissioner Gray, are you in attendance as well? Commissioner Gray, are you here?
Debacle with this guy. Commissioner Gray here via phone.
Thank you. Looks like all commissioners are in attendance. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
Present.
Commissioner Gray.
Present.
And Commissioner Olson.
Present.
Thank you. Time is 10:38 and we have a quorum.
Just as a reminder, we are coming back to C1, the Turf Paradise OTB. I'll open it up to any of my fellow commissioners before we move forward.
Well, I will just admit that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say I have grave concerns moving on this when there's still possible questions that they need to get addressed, and I would like to see them resolve the private disputes before they come to us for action.
The only addition I'll put onto that is we make conditional approvals often, especially, getting into the weeds on whether we conditionally approve one thing, and everyone knows that the contracts that we conditionally approve left and right. However, I tend to agree with you, Commissioner, so I'd be interested in a motion should you have one.
I would move to table this item until the private disputes regarding the contract are resolved and we have approval from the city of Phoenix.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Gray and a second by Commissioner Olson. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
No.
Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
And Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
We'll move to action item C2, request for Pima County Fair Horse Racing Commission approval for a 3-year county fair racing permit for the following dates: March 19th, March 20th, April 2, April 3 of 22, February 4, February 5, April 1, and April 2 of 2023, February 3, February 4, April 6th, and 7th of 2024. Actually, Mr. Duncan, do you want to give us an update on anything in regards to C2, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, the original document read February 26th and 27th. But since it was so late in getting Rillito approved for their permit, we asked the County Fair Commission to please move their original February 26th and 27th to March 19th and 20th. The Board of Supervisors did approve 19th, 20th, and the April 2nd and April 3rd. That is also in the packet.
Any questions or comments from my commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Duncan, what is the department's recommendation?
The department would recommend that the approval be made.
Thank you.
I do have a question. I don't know if Brian, if you could answer that, or be Mr. Casillas. Are we sure we have the appropriate staff to man these? There's not going to be a conflict with like Rillito or anything?
Mr. Commissioner, those are going to be run at Rillito.
Okay.
So yes.
I'll move that we approve the Pima County Fair Horse Racing Commission for the dates listed above. March, well, I've already itemized it. Well, I'll say it anyways, just so it's on record. March 19th and 20th, April 2nd and 3rd, 2022, February 4th, 5th, April 1st and 2nd of 2023, February 3rd, 4th, April 6th and 7th of 2024. Looking forward to having those races happen down there. So appreciate everybody putting that together.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Olson. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Garay.
Yes.
Thank you. The 3-year racing permit is approved.
Move to action item C3, award of annual adoption grants for Desert Oasis Rescue in Tucson. I'll move it over to the department for their comments.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Desert Oasis Rescue in Tucson was the only applicant. And I would recommend that we approve, and just so you know, there's approximately $15,000 in the fund, but we do recommend approval for them.
Looks like everything's in order on our end. Okay. I'll go ahead and move that we approve the award to Desert Oasis Rescue for the annual adoption grant.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Olson. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Garay.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Move to action item C4, simulcast agreements pursuant to ARS 5-112U for Arizona Downs, Aqueduct, Rillito, Evangeline, and Woodbine. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did supply and review the contracts and all looks to be in order. The division would recommend the 5112U contracts be approved for item C4A1 through 4 for Arizona Downs.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or concerns from my commissioners?
None for me.
I'll move that we approve Arizona Downs simulcast agreements pursuant to ARS 5-112U for Aqueduct, Rillito, Evangeline, and Woodbine.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Garay. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
and Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. Those agreements are approved.
Following up with B4 simulcast agreements for Turf Paradise, Keeneland, Remington, Will Rogers, Hawthorne, and Evangeline. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just like Arizona Downs, I did supply all the contracts and all is in order. The division would recommend the 5112U contracts be approved for item C4, C1, I'm sorry, C4B, 1 through 5 for Turf Paradise.
Thank you, sir. Questions or concerns from my commissioners?
None.
I'll move that we approve simulcast agreements pursuant to ARS 5-112U for Turf Paradise's Keeneland, Remington, Will Rogers, Hawthorne, and Evangeline.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Garay. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
and Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. Those simulcast agreements are approved.
Move to 4C, simulcast agreements for Rillito Park, Fairgrounds, Louisiana Downs, Oak Lawn, Turfway, Tampa Downs, and Aqueduct. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did supply and review all the contracts. All is in order. The division does recommend the 5112U contracts be approved for items C4, C1 through 6 for Rillito Park.
I'd just like to say I love seeing Rillito included into these simulcast agreements as much as, and hopefully someone will write that down, that I love seeing a simulcast agreement on our agenda, but appreciate them running, look forward to seeing them run, and With that, I'll move that we approve the Rillito Park simulcast agreements pursuant to ARS 5-112U for Fairgrounds, Louisiana Downs, Oak Lawn, Turfway, Tampa Downs, and Aqueduct.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Gray. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
and Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. Those simulcast agreements are approved.
And I apologize. Looks like we had a request to speak. Mr. Author, do you have anything you need to add on any of these?
No, we just, I just put our name in just in case there was an issue. I don't need to talk. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Move to action item 5A, simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to the IHA section 300483 for Arizona Downs, Aqueduct, Rillito, Evangeline, and Woodbine. Mr. Duncan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So under the C5A for Arizona Downs, items 1 and 2 are complete. Now that since you give the approval on the 5112U, and items 3 and 4 are still missing the host commission, host horseman approval documents, and the 5112U contract approval, which you just approved. The division would make sure that we collect all the documents before giving them permission to operate their signal. We do recommend that items 1 through 4 for Arizona Downs be approved, pending that the rest of the documentation is received by the permittee.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or concerns from my commissioners? Otherwise, I'll move that we approve Arizona Downs, Aqueduct, and Rillito horse racing import signals pursuant to the IHA section 300483 for Aqueduct and Rillito, excuse me.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge, a second by Commissioner Olson. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
I will also move that we conditionally approve the simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to the IHA section 300483 for Evangeline and Woodbine, provided the department received all prerequisite documents and would direct the department to move the approval so we don't delay anything on the commission's end.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Olson. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
We'll move to simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to the IHA section 300483 for Turf Paradise, Keeneland, Remington, Will Rogers, Hawthorne, and Evangeline. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So under 5B for Turf Paradise, items 1 and 2 are now complete since your approval of 5112U contracts. Items 3 and 4 are still missing the host horseman approval documents. 5112U was just approved by you. And then item 5 is missing both the host commission, host horseman documents. Your approval of the 5112U, which was just approved. The division does recommend that items 1 through 5 for Turf Paradise be approved, pending the rest of the documentation for those that are missing the documents.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or concerns from the fellow commissioners?
No.
Otherwise, I will move that we approve Turf Paradise's Keeneland and Remington.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Gray. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
and Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
I will move that we approve Turf Paradise, or conditionally approve Turf Paradise's Will Rogers, Hawthorne, and Evangeline, provided the prerequisite documents are submitted, and empower the department to move forward without coming back to the commission so we don't slow it up on our end.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Gray. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
and Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Move to 5C, Rillito Park, Fairgrounds, Louisiana Downs, Oak Lawn, Turfway, Tampa Downs, and Aqueduct. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, under 5C for Rillito Park, items 1 through 6 are all still missing the host commission, host horseman approval, and then you just approved the 5112U contracts. I will be working with Rillito to get the rest of the documentation needed turned in. The division would recommend that items 1 through 6 for Rillito be approved pending the documentation being received from the permittee.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from my commissioners? Otherwise, I move that we conditionally approve Rillito Park, Fairgrounds, Louisiana Downs, Oak Lawn, Turfway, Tampa Downs, Aqueduct under a conditional approval that the department receive all prerequisite materials and empower the department to move forward without coming back to the commission.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner Olson. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
And Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move to D1, the track safety report. Dr. Gale, do you have any updates for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair Coolidge, Commissioners. I will be brief given the time limitation and accept any questions and comments. Since the last meeting, we have taken a couple of actions. Again, the Director Casillas set that the veterinarians practicing on the backside would submit daily veterinary reports. That happened starting March 1st. Collecting those reports will give us some additional information in doing our daily risk assessments for horse exams. Again, we do a risk assessment based on factors that tend to contribute or at least maybe predict horses that are at higher risk of injury, which includes the age of the horse, how frequent they run, whether they've been on a vet list, and so forth. And these daily risk assessments are done both at Turf Paradise and at Rillito. And so the vet records will be additional information that we can use to determine if horses have leg issues that may predispose them to injuries. At Turf Paradise, we are in contact with another veterinarian, again, to do 70 horse exams in a short period of time is really not feasible for one person. So hopefully we'll be able to get another person on board to help out with that task. The other item that we did was we did hold a safety meeting just earlier this week with department leadership, track management from all 3 Arizona tracks, as well as horseman representatives. And we looked at some of the risk factors. Again, horse breakdowns are a multifactorial problem. It's not one thing. It can be one of many things that contributes. The one item that there was agreement on was that voided claim rule would be a helpful matter. This would mean that if a horse came off the track lame and it was claimed, that claim would be voided and the horse would be returned to the original trainer. This does help deter some folks from entering horses that are not quite sound, and again, maybe are not detected on pre-race exam. Again, that's a one step in a process of trying to prevent these injuries. Currently the rule in Arizona is a non-revocability of claim. So whatever condition the horse is in, once it leaves the starting gate, it goes to the new owner. I will just mention that the Federal Trade Commission did just approve the Horse Integrity and Safety Authority Safety Board's rules, draft rules. So those are now in the register, Federal Register, and will go into effect July 1st, 2022. One of the rules in there, of course, is avoided claim rule. So that is something where we can be proactive in the time between now and then in determining what we need logistically to enact that rule. That's the gist of what I have. I'd be happy to take questions.
No, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your input as always, and appreciate you working with the department. I know what a priority this is for the department, as well as the department working with the governor's office to ensure that we have funds to be able to bring on additional veterinarian and additional staff to help with these lifts. So appreciate you greatly.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the budget report, Mr. Casillas or Mr. LaForest.
Chairman, Commissioners, as we wrap up the third quarter of the fiscal year and enter the Q4, I don't have any concerns at this time that we will not have a sufficient spending appropriation to get us to the end of the fiscal year. We're sitting about 40% of our $250,000 appropriation remaining, so I have no concerns at this time.
Appreciate it. Any questions from my commissioners on that? Otherwise, we'll look at the D3 OTB approval granted by the director, Mr. Casillas.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Turf Paradise recently submitted a OTB application regarding Stingers Sports Bar and Grill. There was a change of ownership. The OTB was previously contracted by Turf Paradise, and change of ownership paperwork has been submitted, and the personnel have been licensed appropriately by the division, and pursuant to rule, the director went ahead and approved that OTB.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from my commissioners on that? Okay, Mr. Guessman, any updates on the International Horse Racing Integrity Act? We will move to D5, Permittee Reports, American Greyhound Racing.
You want to talk? Mr. Commissioner?
Sir, you might want to turn off the other device near you and let us know who you are. Does American Greyhound Racing have a permittee report?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we have no update this month. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll move to Arizona Downs. Any permittee reports? County fairs? Rillito Park.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This is Mike Weiss. Just a quick report, just to say, despite all the negative publicity, we have had a fantastic start of the meet. We have broken records in both handle and in attendance. Things seem to be going great. We also have another group of 20 or so University of Arizona students studying with us and working with us. And I think it's proved to Tucson that the year and a half off, this track is really needed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tucson Greyhound Park.
Hi there, it's Alicia Heiser Federico, General Manager. Thank you, Chairman and members of the Commission. I brought up last month regarding sending in 15 licenses for renewals or new employees to the Arizona Department of Gaming. Those checks are still uncashed, and I have not received any licenses back on my employees. And I just wanted to let the Commission know that. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, you were breaking up just before the licensee part. Can you say that one more time for me, please?
Okay, I had sent in 15 license renewals or new employee licenses since January 17th. I have not received any of those back. The checks have not been cashed still, and I just wanted the department and the commission to know that.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Director, might you communicate with Ms. Alicia and look into that matter?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. That matter will be addressed.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Author, you have your hand raised. Do you need to now communicate your permittee report?
Chairman Coolidge and everybody, I apologize. I was temporarily indisposed. Yes, our report is simply that we continue to work diligently to put our meat together. We're obviously not going to come to the commission until we've got all our T's crossed and I's dotted, and sit tight because something will be coming, but we're just not prepared at this point. But other than that, everything's going fine up there. That's really all I have to report.
I am eagerly looking forward to that report, hopefully next month.
Yes, sir.
Turf Paradise. Mr. Mayor, see you on the video.
In order to continue to expedite the meeting, for any questions the commission might have.
None on my end. Any of my commissioners have any questions for the Turf Paradise representative?
Nothing for me.
Thank you, sir. We'll move to the Optional Industry Stakeholder Association updates, Arizona Counties Racing Association. Arizona Quarter Horse Racing Association.
Yes, Director. Director Coolidge, this is Lloyd Yother, Arizona Quarter Racing.
Mr. Yother, sounds like you have a couple of devices next to you. You might want to turn one of them off.
Okay.
You're going to have to turn the volume up. Right.
Are you there?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Fellow commissioners, Director Casillas, this is Lloyd Yother with the Arizona Quarter Racing Association. We are continuing. We're starting our third weekend, our fifth day of racing at Rillito, and things are going well. And we're continue to be able to race sporadically at Turf Paradise with the quarter horses. That being said, we're being able to do this with we haven't gotten our funding straightened out from the federal funds that's supposed to be paying our purses for the Quarter Racing Association. And we've got a meeting this afternoon with the department to try to get some of these details worked out. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to hearing how that meeting goes after today.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
We'll move to the Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association.
Take your seat. It's still on?
Yeah, you're good.
And HBPA.
Commissioner Coolidge, this is Bob Hutton, Arizona HPPA. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First things, the approvals that were done today through November for Turf Paradise, we only signed them through September 1st. Was there a reason they were extended beyond that period?
Which approvals are you referring to?
Let me see here. Let me grab it. Keeneland and Hawthorne.
Those approvals were conditional approvals?
Okay. Okay. Thanks for answering that.
Yes, sir.
And I have another question before I give you guys updates. Is there anytime soon we can meet in person instead of through this Zoom?
I think that would be a question for the department and something that we could look into.
Okay. Okay.
Mr.
Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, I can address that.
Mr. Director, I look forward to it.
Yes, the department recently moved from one building to another, and we're still transitioning, getting equipment set up and installed, and getting conference room tables and video equipment installed. So that should happen relatively soon. I'm hoping that maybe by April at the earliest that we can resume to regular meetings, but I will keep everybody posted on that matter.
Appreciate
Okay.
that.
Thank you. As far as the HPPA, our board has approved the hiring of a track consultant that we'll be using with all the tracks in the state to make sure that the tracks surfaces, from racing to the rails to everything, is in good shape, and we can go on, because we can't have these. I agree with everybody that's been talking about the breakdowns. They're unnecessary, and so we're going to take it upon ourselves. I guess the only thing I would ask the department and the commission is to back us up and support us when we provide you with actual reports saying what needs to be done and why it needs to be done. The second thing here is Turf Paradise, their track consultant made a recommendation to have 2 breaks during the morning, and it's really helped as far as the safety of the animals are concerned. And they get more water on the track, and it's a better situation. And they adjusted the workout schedule to run till 10:30. Well, a day or two ago, we were informed that it's only going to go till 10. And now I'm getting phone calls, one from Stacy Campo yesterday, saying she couldn't get all her horses out because the brakes, the additional break, and the track wanted to close at 10. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I just wanted the commission and the department to look at that, because it's all about the safety of the animals and the people. And it was a good recommendation. Our people the trainers made their adjustments as far as training was concerned, and now it's been changed again. So I wanted to bring that point up. Another issue that came up, and it's probably the commission needs to get involved. Mr. Francia, we've been talking about changing or reducing purses, which the HPPA does not want to do. And we thought it would be more frugal and a better business idea to go ahead and race 4 days a week. Mr. Francia went ahead and sent Mr. Guestman an email, and it stated that the Arizona HPPA is guaranteed input on the condition book, but does not have the right to cut purses. The decision to raise, lower, or keep purses as is the decision of Turf Paradise. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense, Mr. Coolidge, because it's our purse money. We've got to manage it. If Turf Paradise wanted to, basically in this email, they're saying that they could raise purses and we couldn't do anything about it. And we're the ones that have to manage the purse account and go ahead and make sure that we have enough money to go through the end of the meet. The 4 days a week made more sense to me, based on that it would give the horses more of a break and we wouldn't be pushing them so hard. But we got this email, so I'd like the commission, and it's not in our contract and it's not legislative. So we've got this statement that's made that I don't believe is accurate. But I also don't know if it's inaccurate, because there's nothing in writing saying otherwise. So that's another one of my concerns. Another concern that we have is the track kitchen is closed. Once again, the track kitchen didn't open on time at the beginning of the meet, and now the people back here don't have a track kitchen. And that's a contractual thing. It's in the contract. The last thing I'll bore you with is the email that I asked Turf Paradise, since they wanted to talk about a contract. I asked them what their opinion was, or if they could share what their major concern was. And this is what it was a shocking thing to me, and I'll just read it. The Arizona HPPA and Turf Paradise would agree to share the simulcast revenue, the OTBs, at the following rates of 60 for Turf Paradise and 40 for the Arizona HPPA. Today it's 52-48. The on-track revenue shall be shared at 50-50 to each party. Well, 50-50 at the track is great, but no one's coming here. Rillito is by far, they get 5,000 people down there on the weekends each day roughly, and we get 200 people. And that's probably another reason that our purse account's been hurt, because we don't get any track revenue. So, you know, we've suffered because of the conditions here at Turf Paradise. So let me read you the explanation that Turf Paradise provided to us. The Arizona
Sir,
Yeah.
since we're at time and actually well over time, what I'm going to do is request the department to set up an off time meeting. So, Mr. Director, if you would be kind enough to arrange for the HBPA and a representative from Turf Paradise or multi-representatives from Turf Paradise, I would be happy to make time to sit down with all parties and see if we can discuss these on a line-by-line item. Would that be adequate for you, sir?
Are you asking me, Mr. Coolidge?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to get this one thing on the record. It will take 30 seconds.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. It says the Arizona HPP would like to see more marketing, advertising, and attract more people to the track. In order to accomplish these necessities for these items and others, it is necessary to return 60% of the OTB revenue to Turf. It was this way for Mr. Sem's first approximately 18 years at the track, and the last approximate 4 years has been at the 52% to the track of the OTB revenue. Also, Arizona HPPA and Turf used to spend $500 each in advertising. Then the Arizona HPPA cut it to $400. Turf went to $400. Then it was cut to $150 until finally it went down to $0. It's clearly a race to the bottom. It should be understood that Turf will not fund 100% of the money that it takes to do some of these things that horsemen would like to see, unless the horsemen pay their share. So we're actually being asked to pay to run his business. We've got our own expenses and they've all gone up, Chuck. So, fuel, feed, everything else. And it just seems like it's ludicrous that they would even bring this up. I just want to get that on the record.
Chuck, this is Jerry Sims. I need to respond. I'll do it quickly. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. And then we can
Okay.
schedule a time later too, if needed.
That's fine. The 60-40 split, that was the way it was, like he just read, for 17 or 18 years. And then the horsemen changed it. They took us from 60%, and we got that because it cost a lot of money to run the OTB system. They always said, well, they've got expenses, as Mr. Hutton just said. And we said, well, we have expenses at the track. But those offset each other. They want to use that same argument on the OTB system. And I said, wait a minute, you used that chip already. They told us it will not negotiate new contracts, and the 1st of September is it. As far as them coming on and doing soil tests, that's not going to be allowed. They can have somebody give us suggestions, but we're not going to have them operating our business. They're not going to come in and tell us how we should do it and be able to report back to the commission. They can talk to us. It's our track. We'll take care of it. He's not reflected at all on the horses that are put out there by his members. And that, I believe, is a big part of what's going on. Because when we have 600 or 800 horses in the morning going around the track, doing their workouts and so on, if there was something wrong with the track, the jockeys wouldn't even get on the horses. So to push it on the track and say he's going to come on and they're going to take it in their own hands, as he said, and do their own stuff is not acceptable at all. Be happy to have a meeting to iron out some of these issues, but without a new, as I've told Mr. Hutton, without a new contract, I have to assume we're done September 1st. There's no other way to put it. Okay, thank you.
Director, let's go ahead and see if we can get something set up offline, please.
Yes, sir. I'll schedule that.
Thank you. Anything from the Jockeys Guild? Okay, we'll move to the E1 summary of current events. Anything for future agendas or to discuss from my fellow commissioners?
Not from me, sir.
Nothing from me.
I have Mr. Herrera signed up for call to the public. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I won't take that long. My name's Dino Herrera. I'm an owner, professional handicapper, and money contest player. So based on previous comments, this is probably timely. I wanted to say something really positive about what we've encountered out here in Arizona with Turf Paradise, and that's Craig Braddock, the announcer at Turf Paradise. Many of us across the country have followed Mr. Braddock's extensive social media and television coverage of Turf Paradise. I mean, he's gone out of his way to explain issues that tend to gain momentum across the racing community nationwide. I have a lot of friends nationwide. They're in tune to what he has to say. This is most important because in social media, the negative news about Arizona racing can hurt its reputation. He did a great job explaining the recent race photo issues when the camera sort of went awry on one of the races, and responded to a lot of comments regarding the negative Pollock report of Arizona racing. And he's covered Turf Paradise quite well on TVG and national media. And I just wanted to say from all of us horse players, we in Arizona and nationwide are lucky to have him representing the Arizona racing industry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gore, I was on mute apparently, and for items for the future agenda, I would like to go back to that item.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It seems like in the last couple of years that tracks were getting like last minute approvals for opening and all that. And I think our previous council, we had talked about it. And of course, she's no longer here, but I would like council to maybe kind of look at the rules and see if there is something we can do in the future to maybe get the department to be able to approve signals, the import and export on our behalf, so that like with Rillito, they don't have their imports right now, and shouldn't have to wait on us for once a month meeting. So I'd just like to see if there's something that could be done to speed that up without us having to call meetings and all that.
I will look into that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Chair Coolidge, pardon to interrupt. I received a text from the HBPA on the HISA update. For time's sake, I could just email it to you after this meeting, or if you'd like, I can read it out.
Let's read it so it's on record, please.
Perfect. Okay, so there was 3 points. The first, the National HBPA attorneys felt positive after the conclusion of the oral arguments for HISA, but they're waiting for a judge's ruling. The second point is the Federal Trade Commission has approved the safety rules submitted by the HISA, and medication levels have yet to be submitted to the FTC. And then lastly, HISA will be sending out a bill to each state racing commission on May 1st for the setup of HISA. It will be the state's responsibility to collect and pay the HISA invoice. Those were the 3 points they sent over.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Commissioner, thank you for those thoughts as well. Any other action items? Otherwise, I will move to announcements. Next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be at 10 a.m. on Thursday, April 14th, likely via Google Meet. And with that, I'll hear a motion for adjournment.
Mute again.
You're
So
up.
moved.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge, a second by Commissioner Gore. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
Mr. Secretary, you had those backwards.
Oh, I had a motion by Commissioner Gore, a second by Chair Coolidge. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
And Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. The time is 11:20 and this meeting is adjourned.